When the creators of Dimensionals offered to sponsor a no-strings-attached, fully dedicated video on the channel, it was an opportunity that I instantly jumped at. So Dimensionals is a turn-based RPG that combines tactical combat with the replayability of a roguelike. Let's jump into a master raid to see more. The first thing we need to do is select our 3 heroes. Now, as you progress through the game, you'll unlock more characters, but we're gonna start with the 3 OGs, Gramps, Koa, and Boop. That's Boop. With these 3 heroes, we're about to embark on a dungeon crawl of progressively stronger enemies with our goal to defeat the boss Leviathan. Jumping into our first fight, however, we've just got this weak little straggler. Now I want you to think of the combat system like the way double battles work in Pokemon, where each side takes a turn to attack. And as the fight starts, I have the options to attack, defend, or make other tactical moves. I first choose to defend Koa, giving him 10 armor. And essentially what this does is it gives me enough protection to completely tank the enemy's hit, losing no actual HP. The next turn we go offensive, where Gramps attacks first, and then we use Koa's double strike. Our enemy then chooses to defend, gaining 20 armor. Now I go for another double strike, this time landing 15 damage, which leaves it with 5 points of armor. Gramps then strikes for 10, breaking its armor and getting 5 damage in. We've still got one more action this turn, so I once again defend to shield the incoming attack on Koa and neutralize any damage. We're then able to take it out, which completes the first dungeon. Now, upon completing any dungeon, you're awarded with the choice of one of 3 skills. Skills are kind of like the Pokemon equivalent of moves. They're the actions you just saw me using, like Armor Add, Gramps' Lash, or Koa's double hit. And the skill I choose from this dungeon win is Defense Stance. I can use it to give a massive 30 armor to every hero on the field. It goes into our inventory, and unlike moves in Pokemon, you simply choose to equip it to any hero. In this case, we give it to Boop, who will be serving a support role. Now moving into our second fight, we're taking on this Flambe. You can think of this as if we were fighting an Electrode, which is basically on a 4-turn self-destruct timer. Our goal here is basically to just kill this thing as fast as possible. Unfortunately for us, like a Kakuna might spam Harden, this thing does nothing but armor itself up each turn to prevent HP loss. So it's not looking like we can really beat it, and that's where Boop comes in. I choose to use my new skill Defense Stance to give us all a huge armor boost to block the explosion. Now unfortunately, I didn't realize Defense Stance only lasts 1 turn, and since it has a cooldown, we're not able to activate it again. So we do beat the fight, but we take a bit of damage. Now, unlike in Pokemon, where you can always just go back and heal, in Dimensionals, HP is super precious. See, you have a limited number of items in gold, and so with no free heals, your main priority has to be sparing HP. And that's why at the start of most fights, you're gonna see me giving armor to a hero to defend for an incoming attack. This game is all about resource management, and HP is at the forefront. Now moving on to our third fight, let's take a note of the mana bar down in the right corner. Mana is a fully renewable resource that determines how many actions you can take per turn. On turn 1, you can only do a single action that costs 1 point. However, every turn that passes, your mana increases by 1. So on turn 2, you can do 2 single mana moves or a single 2-cost mana move. Now as this fight progresses, you'll also see I'm able to use my newly acquired skill, Pierce. That's that red one down there with a 4. Yeah, it uses 4 points of mana, but with it, you can deal 60 damage that completely bypasses an opponent's armor. Even better though is from beating this fight, we get the common passive skill, I'm Fired Up. This makes the user's first attack on every turn a critical hit, which doubles its damage. And so stacking this passive with Pierce means Koa will always deal 120 damage directly to the enemy's health. Now another cool thing is occasionally after battles, you'll be greeted by the Potion Granny or the shopkeeper to give you a free skill. Now since we'd lost some health, I choose to visit Granny and she gives us a potion which heals us to full. Our next enemy is this gassy little guy. He poisons Boop and Gramps and then protects with big armor as the poison hurts us. This is like the literal equivalent to toxic protect strats in Pokemon. Unfortunately for him though, we have our Pierce which bypasses his armor. 2 hits is all it takes for another win, and we pick up the skill This Is Fine. This passive goes to Boop and it makes enemies deal half damage on the first turn of every fight, which ends up being super useful as this next fight shows Boop and Gramps taking a serious beating. But with this win, we acquire our first epic passive ability, Replication Matrix. Now, Gramps has his own unique ability, which automatically gives him 10 armor at the start of every turn. And this skill makes it so that 10 armor is then passed on to a random ally, which is going to be super important, because even after another potion from Granny, we head into the boss fight without max HP. So this is the concept of Dimensionals in a nutshell. You've had your training, you get how the game works, Now it's time for the boss fight. And if you made it this far, I'll encourage you to download the game yourself via the top link in the description. The gameplay is super tactical, and the conservation roguelike element really scratches the RPG-loving part of my brain. The graphics are also super tasty and vibrant, and the game gives an overall sense of something that was just made with a lot of passion. And while they are sponsoring the creation of this video, it's not one I would have made if I didn't think it was a seriously solid game. So show them some love and download it below. Now, time for Leviathan. Our heroes have been given 3 unique builds for the largest tactical advantage. Gramps is the tank who can provide armor support and deal damage. Koa is our raw damage output machine. And then Boop is kind of like our status using grass type. You'll see in this first sequence him using the numbing zap, which cuts the opponent's incoming attack in half. And that is a really crucial skill for this fight because the boss has massively high damage. Now in turn 3, Boop sets our team up with 30 armor to completely neutralize a big attack that hits all allies. We continue damage mitigation until our mana is high enough that Koa can safely use Pierce. On turn 5, he's able to take out the first claw, shortly followed by the other. From here comes the full boss. After landing some damage on us, the boss takes a turn to set up 100 armor, but it doesn't even matter because Pierce goes right through it. The strategy now is lower its damage output with Boop, armor incoming attacks with Gramps, and then Pierce with Koa. Rinse, recycle, repeat, and okay, never mind. 1 round to go. So it completely heals and then attacks Gramps with a move that makes him unable to perform an action the following turn. This is completely diabolical. We are in deep water now. So I finally resort to my inventory, which I've been holding out on this whole run. I use all 3 of my potions of damage to take its health down by a total of 300. I then use Corruption Vials, which makes the boss take additional damage from my hero's attack. And finally, Koa sends off one last heroic Pierce before getting nuked into oblivion. 180 health left though, and it's down to 2 heroes. Now, with its lowered defense from the potions, Gramp is able to attack twice per turn for 60 damage. It armors, we attack and armor Boop, and it's now down to 120. This next turn, however, it's about to send 50 powered attacks to both of our heroes, and this is simply not enough that Boop can possibly survive. So we attack twice more to get it down to 60 health, put 2 armors on Gramps, and unfortunately, it is a rip for Boop. Sorry, Boop. Gramps, however, manages to just survive the onslaught with 10 HP. And with 60 HP left on the monster, we have just enough to take it out with not a single turn to spare. That is our first Master Raid completed, and we are then rewarded with a level up for Gramps to hold 1 more skill, which we can permanently carry forward. From here, we'll unlock more characters, gold, and level ups, and continually improve. And that moment right there, the damage calculations, the resource management, that is what Dimensionals is all about. So I encourage you to download the game with their top link in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you later.